If you go out to coffee dates on the first date, you are a low value man. If you go out to the bar on the weekends, you are a low value man. Do you guys agree with that? Today we're going to be reacting to a few toxic TikTok videos because you know it's my specialty. And I want you guys to think about it. What makes a high value man? What makes a low value man? And what is the ideal first date when you're meeting a woman for the first time? So without further ado, let's get into the videos, give you my reaction, see what you guys think.
One thing about me is I have game. I know how to get a man. It's like my thing. Ask my therapist. Because I've had multiple in my life.
So you know how to get a man, but do you know how to keep a man? Ultimately, women's problem is not an attraction problem. It is a retention problem.
And listen. Stop going to the hole-in-the-wall bar and the clubs. It's so annoying. Stop. You guys are so pretty. And you guys are you're letting these men tap it. And I can't let it happen anymore. Stop. Start going out to hotel bars, restaurant bars, just sit there with a girlfriend and go during happy hour times. The guys that are going out like late at night, they expect to take you home and they're just kind of different men. They're also like not busy enough. Like, why are you at the club? Shouldn't you be like studying or some shit? Shouldn't you be working? A man that's at happy hour is successful. The guys that are out late, it's always like, you seem like you have a lot of time on your hands. Play smarter, not harder.
So one thing I do absolutely agree with is women should stop letting guys hit it on the first date. I do agree with that. I've coached a lot of women, and if I'm working with a woman and I talk to her about when is the ideal time to sleep with a man, I don't recommend she does that on the first date if she's actually looking for commitment. Now you understand that there's two sides to this coin, right? A guy's always going to want that, but it doesn't always mean that a woman should give in to that, because I think if she wants a guy to take her seriously, she should probably wait, because we as guys think if you do this with us on the first date, this happens with all guys. What makes a man high value or low value? Is it the best place to meet a guy at a hotel bar or at happy hour if you're really looking for a high value man? Well, yes, that might be a great place to meet somebody, but think about the types of men that are at hotel bars or out to happy hour. Most of those guys are high value, but they're probably in a relationship and they're probably traveling for work. So like we talked about before, this woman doesn't have a problem attracting men because she's not bad looking. She has a problem executing and giving good advice on what it takes to keep a good guy around, because she genuinely does not have success doing that. Because I can tell you the last place a woman should want to look for a guy who's going to commit is a guy who's on a work or business trip, probably a guy who's going to be in a hotel bar. So let's talk about men who go out late at night and try to pick up women, or just go out late at night. If you're a guy who works really hard all week and you want to go out with your friends and you want to have fun, you should be able to do that. You shouldn't be shamed for doing that, and it goes the same for women. But I guess the question I have to ask is, if men who go out till close at the bar, who want to meet women, who want to go home with women, if they're out till 2 a.m. at the bar and the women that she's talking about are also there, what makes those women any better than those guys? So I guess I don't really understand. If you're telling women to stop associating with low value men because they're going out late and doing questionable things, then why are those same women out doing the same things? And ultimately what it comes down to is she is upset with the fact that there's a certain subset of men out there that have the ability to go out and sleep with women whenever those guys want to, and all of these women are equating those same rules to the top percentage of guys and getting frustrated with them, when the vast majority of guys are not going out and sleeping with a girl on the first date. And in all reality, it's completely up to the woman on when she sleeps with the guy. So if that's her advice, I agree with it, but there needs to be some level of accountability instead of just calling men low value who want to do that. When women associate with men who just want a one-night stand and accept that and go with it, that's what you get. Like, you get what you accept. So let's talk about high versus low value men when it comes to the first date.
Do not go on that coffee date. Do not go on that boba date. Do not go meet that man for drinks. This man saw you, and his first initial thought wasn't, wow, I'd really love to get to know her over some dinner and a nice ambiance. He looked at you and said, Dunkin'? Starbucks? The amount of messages that I get from men that ask me if I like coffee. No, bitch, I don't like coffee. I actually hate it.
So is a coffee date truly a low value date? Well, in terms of investment, going on a walk, getting coffee, it is technically a low value date, but does that mean it's wrong? When I'm working with my clients, I ultimately err on the side of not doing too much as opposed to doing too much. And here's one reason why. Most men date with the mindset that they are trying to qualify themselves to get women to want to date them. It should be the complete opposite, because high value men understand that they are the prize and that women will pursue them. So if they understand that, they're not always going to be trying to qualify themselves to women. They're going to see if that woman is qualified to date them. And when you're not overly worried about taking a girl to dinner, spending a bunch of money on her in the first date, really what it is, it's a compatibility check. It's to see if there's any romantic chemistry. It's to see if you two get along, if you vibe. And ultimately, if you do, then you can take her on a real date, right? Then you can take her on a more of a high value date. But ultimately, if you're a guy, think about the double standard here. Women, they're patient, they weigh their options. Women could go on 5 dates in 1 week and they wouldn't pay a dime. If a guy goes on 5 dates in 1 week and he doesn't make over 6 deep into the six figures, millions of dollars. If he's going on 5 dates a week, that guy's gonna be broke. And to be fair, the kind of guys that can get 5 dates a week, more often than not, those are those really high status, high value men that maybe money doesn't matter. So her rule doesn't even apply here. But all I'm going to say is if you're a man, the goal of the first date is to build chemistry, romantic attraction, physical attraction, and see if you two get along. So if you can do that on coffee, if you can do that on a walk, then do it. Ideally, the first date in my mind, and what I recommend for all my clients, is not dinner. It's actually going to a wine bar. And there's 2 reasons why. The first reason is when you go to a wine bar, it's more classy than going to like a dive bar, but it's not as expensive as going to a dinner. You can get some small amounts of food, and if you have a good time and you want to go somewhere else, you didn't break the bank just to go on that date, and you can go somewhere else and be dynamic on that first date. And this video that I just responded to is very similar to the other one I responded to by a creator named Coco Beauty that says, don't take me on a coffee date, don't take me on a walk on the first date, I'm not a dog, and all these other things. The bottom line is, if you're a woman or a guy who's just screaming at the camera all the time about women don't measure up, they're awful, men aren't the prize, do you think that people are really going to want to date you? So fortunately, I did find an amazing video recently on TikTok of a woman who really summarizes why information and advice like the previous woman is really damaging to other women, and I really love this video, so pay attention to this one.
Can we please talk about how toxic the dating advice is on this app? And I'm specifically talking about the women here. And what I want to talk about is the idea of high standards. I think it is so important that everyone has their own sets of standards and things that they will accept or not accept in a relationship. And it's gotten to a point where because I've heard these other women's standards so much, it's making me feel like my standards aren't high enough.
Other women's standards are making other women feel bad for genuinely wanting to go on a coffee date, a breakfast date, a lunch date, or a walk. That is why those other videos are so problematic, because what happens is these women go in the comment sections and are like, this guy's low effort, he's low value, he's a bum. If he really wanted you, he would be taking you to dinner. And it starts to subconsciously get to these women to say, am I not successful in dating because I'm not doing what these other women want? When in reality, all of the women who are screaming from the towers about how low value and low effort men are, they're not happy and they're not in high quality relationships. So I completely agree with what she's saying. This is really damaging to other women's approach to dating.
For example, going on a first date. I have no issues going on a coffee date or hanging out at a park or doing something super low key because I'm a low maintenance person and I don't need something fancy for a first date. I also don't know if I'm gonna like you on the first date, so why would I want to do something that might require multiple hours of my time? But the women that are out here being like, if a man asks me on a coffee date, I'm not going. He's a low value man. I'm sorry, but that is absolutely ridiculous. These men do not owe you anything. Are you worthy enough of being taken out to a nice meal? Sure. But why are you expecting this dude you've never met to take you to this 5-star restaurant with 3-course meals and take you in a limo and then take you to a nice after party after? Like, that is an example of an unrealistic standard.
Absolute facts. Thank you. Absolute facts. You don't need anything overly fancy. If there's chemistry and both people are relatively low maintenance, you are fine. You don't want to be stuck at dinner for 2-3 hours with somebody that you don't like. It's really no more complicated than that. She hit the nail on the head, and I completely agree with that. So again, fellas, I know it's easy to get frustrated and think that all women are toxic and have these unrealistic standards, but it's really just not the case. But I will tell you, it's very important to identify which women to avoid as opposed to just knowing which women that you want. So I want you to click in this next video to help you identify all the red flags that women display that you need to avoid.